Good day, everyone. My name is Saskia Harkema, and I'm CEO and founder of Faces of Change and Impact Leaders International. And I'm honored to be one of the speakers of this wonderful event to explore another type of leadership, people, planet, and profit. My presentation is about how you can create a legacy and also make an impact through leadership. And I will share my presentation with you. The title of my presentation is Building a Legacy and Creating an Impact. And I think if I look at the journey throughout my life, this is what my journey has been about thinking how to make an impact. I have a background in sociology, business administration. I hold a PhD on ways to improve innovation processes within organizations, and I have, next to my affiliation to universities to teach and train, I also have different roles, one of them being a global ambassador for Female Wave of Change. Sorry. So first of all, what is creating a legacy? Basically, it's about everything that you leave behind, from a treasured memento passed down through generations to everything what we've worked for and work for to leave as an imprint on the world and the hearts of people. I see life as a journey, and each one of us, each individual on this world, has his or her own journey. And I see us as the heroes of that journey. And I'm inspired by Joseph Campbell, who speaks about the hero's journey. And he says that a hero has to overcome obstacles and slay dragons, and to follow a call of adventure to finally reach what he calls his or her bliss and his or her victory. And in my opinion, us being a hero also implies that we have to become individual leaders. Each one of us has to become a leader. So how can we become a hero and make an impact? If we really want to become the hero in our life's journey and start also taking our responsibility as individuals to contribute to the world. According to me, it all revolves around individual leadership. So where leadership dominantly is seen as a top-down process, in my view, leadership starts from the bottom. If we all become leaders, then this eventually will lead also to systemic change. I will speak about it a bit later, but I'm inspired by Otto Scharmer in this respect, who developed a theory U, who says that form follows consciousness. And this consciousness is something that we have to develop at an individual level. But first of all, let us dwell briefly, because I only have a limited amount of time, on the history of leadership, because it has a long history. Where did all our notions, ideas, and insights about leadership develop? And where are we now? And it all started with Julius Caesar, the Roman Emperor Julius Caesar, who has played a very important role in our thinking about leadership. He was a formidable leader for his time. And what are some of the aspects that really defined him, which till this day are having an influence on our thinking about leadership? He was a risk taker, he was fearless, but he was also a skilled communicator, he was charismatic, and he was utterly determined to attain his goals. And of course, he was a military master, you could say. So in his leadership, at that time, it also revolved very much around power, around territory, and about gaining power through gaining also this territory through all the wars that he waged. So if you go back in time and think about and try to imagine this epic leader, then you can also understand how our leaders nowadays are behaving, and also probably are being inspired by this type of leadership. But we are living in other times, completely other times, in comparison to the Roman Empire, who we know also ceased to exist at a certain moment. And we are facing many complex problems at present. Wars in the Middle East, in Europe, depletion of resources, climate change, a massive displacement of people across the globe, and also massive youth unemployment. So there are many problems that we are facing, and for that reason also the Sustainable Development Goals were defined, 17, to really address those problems. And it is a kind of, you could say, universal framework that countries are using in order to try to solve some of the persistent problems that are also making life so miserable for so many people, like hunger and poverty and no access to water and all these conflicts and wars that are also threatening the livelihood of so many people. So I dare say, and I defend, that we have a crisis of leadership and that we are in urgent need of another type of leadership. And I call it leadership for humanity, a leadership that serves humanity instead of leadership that threatens humanity. So let's look a bit more closely at this crisis in leadership. And it all has to do with a lack of legitimacy. People distrust leaders, and this leads to this lack of legitimacy. And the question is, a recurring question in many parts of the world is, are they really serving humanity? If you think about our present leaders and the decisions they are taking and the reasons why they are taking those decisions. So present leaders lack legitimacy. And it has to do with the fact that they have not changed at the pace at which society changes. There is a lack that has resulted in a crisis of leadership which is threatening societies in many parts of the world. Bluntly put, leaders are on a large scale lack the legitimacy they need to do their job properly. Citizens distrust leaders, see them as the ones causing all the problems we are facing, question their ability and capacity to navigate us through these turbulent times, and in general feel that they lead according to principles which are obsolete and do not serve humanity properly. So we need to unravel leadership in order to also be able to come up with a different type of leadership, which does serve humanity and which is concerned about making an impact. And if we unravel leadership, we see that it has to do with position, with a person, it is a process, and it has to do with a result. So if we go back also in history, where it started with Julius Caesar, also you could say the body of knowledge in trying to unravel what this idea of leadership is started to develop in a scientific sense. And we see a whole range of different perspectives and approaches in trying to understand leadership. And it all started with traits. And this has to do also with how Julius Caesar was kind of a symbol of leadership, but also behavior, decisions, the context, transformation that they have to that has to take place, their authenticity. I'm not going to dwell into the, let's say, the theoretical part of leadership. I want to emphasize that leadership always has to do with change. Leaders want to change things. And the question is, how do they do that? How do they do that as a person? How do they do that in this process to achieve change? And also, what kind of decisions do they take and how do they take these decisions? Important is what I said earlier, is individual change leads to systemic change. I defend a bottom-up approach, and as opposed to this top-down approach where we are supposed to obey leaders, follow them, buy into their agendas, buy into their policy decisions. We are, in a sense, a leader, if you go again back in time and also place that in not only a historical, but in an academic framework. This aspect of legitimacy was crucial. And why was it crucial? Because this was also the main ingredient to create order and solidarity in a society. So a society hinges on this form of legitimacy because it creates this solidarity which is necessary for also cohesion and harmony. And if we now look at how the world has evolved, we can see that we are far removed from this. There is no harmony, there is no balance, there is no trust. There is no cohesion, there is no solidarity. So individual change leads to systemic change, and I refer to Otto Scharmer. He says that the quality of results achieved by any system, and a system can be a society, a community, is a function of the quality of awareness that people in these systems operate from. So in three words, form follows consciousness. It all starts with our own consciousness about what is our role in the world, what can we do, and how can we empower ourselves also to become individual leaders so as to contribute, however small, to this systemic change. This is the model that Otto Scharmer developed, and you see here that you have to also cross a threshold, as he says it. This process of change is not simple. It's not simple at an individual level, and it's also not simple at systemic level. And it starts with changing your mindset about it, and then also understanding yourself thoroughly, knowing yourself thoroughly, and because then you can also decide how to propel yourself to become an individual leader, to think about ways how you could do that, what kind of contribution you want to make in your community or society. and so that you also will make it actionable, because it is all about action. It is all about doing. That is a very important element. And so it's not about what can't we do, what can we do? I hear many people saying, when we talk about the situation in the world, what can I do about the war in Gaza? What can I do about the war in Ukraine? What can I do about the hunger in Africa? This is very disempowering. You have to ask yourself, what can I do? And also be aware that something which seemingly is small can have a huge impact. So it's not only necessarily about very big things that you can do. And it's also about the collective energy of us doing things together that creates this enormous ripple effect, this wave, which can lead also to systemic change. So it all starts with us. We can do much more than that we can imagine. If you only have to go back in history to see how individuals have changed the course of history. And I was recently watching a film about, he was one of the people that was in the resistance during the Second World War in Norway. I didn't know a lot about Norway. And it was a beautiful film to show also how this one person played a key role, a pivotal role in changing the course of history in his country, and not only in his country, but also in the world war in general. So don't underestimate the importance that you as an individual can have. Don't let politicians disempowering you by saying that you are merely important for them to vote on them so that they will take the decisions. They are there because we elected them, and we can hold them accountable for what they do, and also hold them accountable if we disagree with what they do. We work with what we call the tree of life, because it starts with us. And I compare us to a tree. A tree has so many beautiful qualities. It outlives us. It's strong. It also is a symbol of something that continuously transforms and changes. So a way to approach this is that we can see a tree of life as something which is universal. We are all trees of life, each one of us, and we all have to give something to the world, and this is what the symbol is of the tree, in order to also contribute to this change at systemic level. So if we take the tree of life as a symbol, as a metaphor of us, it starts with the roots of the tree, and the roots refer to our core values. So what are the core values that we uphold, that ground us, that define us? This is so fundamental to think about that. Is it freedom? Is it integrity? Is it respect for others? There are so many values at the level of values that we have in common. While politicians nowadays tend to want to divide us, we will discover that at the level of values and beliefs, we have so much in common. So what makes us unique? Each one of us is unique. So what do we have? What are the qualities that define our uniqueness? And what is our gift to the world? Each one of us has a gift to the world. And it's not only that you have a degree and what you contribute in terms of work, but this is really something that comes from deep within you. I call it your treasure. And this treasure you can find by following your call to adventure, as I explained to you in this hero's journey. If you go to try to find that gift that you have, then you will do things you cannot imagine. So what holds you firm and what gives you strength? Because, of course, to be able to give your gift to the world, you need also a community, you need people, you need a network that gives you that strength and that gives you that courage to do what you want to do and to make your contribution to the world. And what do you need to grow? And then I refer to the world as it is, because this is the context that we are living in all these different countries that we are representing. Is the country, is the context, the community that I'm part of, is it helping me to grow? And if not, what can I do to also change that community so that it will become a space where I can thrive and where others can thrive? We speak about leading with impact and serving humanity. So in order to not only show this individual leadership, but also become an individual leader, it is very important that you know yourself to then start acting. This is what I said about Theory U. It's not merely about this awareness, this consciousness, but how can I also make it actionable? And leadership, according to us, is about making an impact, which is not solely measured in financial terms or the outputs created. It is really about touching lives of people on different levels, directly on team or community members, indirectly on own circles and on society at large. So we therefore need to understand and also improve our understanding and practice of the way we lead teams and groups of people. It all, according to us, starts with the heart. Our heart is the compass of a leader in his or her decision making. And I will even phrase it more bluntly. I think leaders nowadays, in general, not all, don't know how to lead people. Because to lead people, you have to do that with the heart. And we speak about 4 very important values in this respect. We speak about empathy, we speak about trust, integrity, and respect. These are core values in leadership. And it starts, of course, with empathy. And if you show empathy, you care about people. And I use in this case what's called the book of Leading Like Madiba from Martin Kalungu, which I would like to highlight, because he has very interesting things to say in this respect. It captures lessons of leadership from an Ubuntu perspective. And I am a very big admirer of this principle of Ubuntu, which says, I am because we are. In a very brief sentence, in a nutshell, it says everything that, for me, has to do with humanity. I am because we are. We can only do this together. And it is quintessential that we do not allow anyone to divide us along religious lines, ethnic lines, economic lines, social lines, cultural lines, whatever. We are united, whatever happens. And also, we are united when it comes to create this systemic change. The lessons are about how to empower others and yourself in building a society, community, or organization that seeks for interconnected and working for the common good. This is about how to serve humanity instead of how to serve personal agendas, individual agendas, or even also, you could say, a lust for power that many leaders demonstrate. So what is the first lesson? The first lesson of Madiba is about your personal attitude towards the other. This is why I spoke about empathy. It's about building a deep sense of awe and respect for all people. It asks you to reflect on your basic attitude towards the other and what you are doing to deepen your respect. And respect is difficult when you are standing opposite to each other. What we nowadays do is that we use that as to legitimate, to justify that when there is a conflict, we can use war as a means to resolve that. This, in a sense, undermines completely our humanity. There is no war in the history of humankind that has solved anything. So this is again based on these ancient notions about what leadership is. We should seek ways how to stay connected and how to show respect in the face of adversity, which is very difficult. But this is what is the essence of leadership for humanity. The second lesson of Madiba is about how to keep yourself inspired. He encourages to let yourself be inspired by the giftedness of other people, and that you should reflect on what your source of inspiration are. These sources can be spiritual, mental, physical, social, emotional. I focus on all of them to maintain your balance. So this giftedness is a beautiful concept because it basically acknowledges that each one of us has something to give, that we have a gift to the world. And the gift has to do very much with who you want to be and who you are, your core, what your core is. And finding that gift is also your journey through life. The third lesson is about the giftedness of all people, and that people and communities thrive when they can see that giftedness of others. Madiba says, honor that every person has a special gift to bring, have trust in the ability of others. Achievements are largely dependent on working together with others. Again, this importance of collaboration, of not breaking the bond that connects us. And this is what, unfortunately, is happening nowadays a lot. That the bond between us is being broken by referring to aspects that in essence have nothing to do with who we are as a human being. It doesn't matter whether you have a different religion, you are from a different race, you have a different education, you have a different economic position. As such, it doesn't matter because it doesn't have anything to do with your humanity. But these things are being picked up by leaders to suggest that there's a distinction and division in society and in the world, which justifies their decisions to basically feed created conflict, which is in essence not there, because we are in this together. The fourth lesson is about courage. And Madiba tells us to learn to recognize fears that are inhibiting you. Courage is about facing harsh realities and nevertheless choose to follow what you consider as the right course of action. Fear is our worst enemy. Fear keeps us trapped. Fear keeps us in the same place where we have been. And fear is something that is also used by politicians in order to, I could say, immobilize people. When people feel fear, they freeze. And this is a mechanism that if you are a politician that wants to create a group of followers around you, you can use this mechanism that people freeze in order to suggest to them that you have a solution for them so that they will feel more comfortable and not feel so unsafe. But you have to be aware that then you, in a sense, you're being manipulated in believing that they can solve something that as such you should solve yourself. You can if you feel fear, the best way to overcome fear is to start acting and not to start following and not to start freezing and not doing anything. It's by coming into action, by following your passion, by following your purpose, by following your mission, that you can also feel that how the fear also keeps you trapped. A final note. In my view, someone who makes an impact, you lead yourself to be able to lead others, because you also are leading others. Show them how they can lead themselves, so as to catalyze change and impact as a result of the collective effort of this process. You become what's called an attractor. If someone sees that you are doing this, people start, it's like a magnet. They feel attracted because this is a positive energy, positive force, and that they also want to become like you because they see the positive effect it has on you. And so the value of leadership is measured by the value of the collective and is able to create in the outside world. Well, according to us, it's also measured in terms of social impact. Does it contribute to a better world, planet, and the well-being of people in general? This is what it's all about. It's not only about profits. It's not only about getting access to resources. It's not only about territory, like at the time of Julius Caesar, who wanted to just have his huge Roman Empire. And look what it resulted in. The Roman Empire was extinguished. And there are many examples of these mythic figures, so-called leaders, Alexander the Great, and all these vast empires that they created. They are just memories of the past, because it has nothing to do with a leadership which is trying to sustain and maintain the connection between us. Ubuntu. I am because we are. Thank you. And let us all transform the world into a better place. And I say it from the bottom of my heart, because we can. I am absolutely convinced we can. With small acts of any act that contributes to the planet, contributes to the well-being of another human being, can eventually lead to the systemic change that we need to transform our world. I'm sure of it. Having said that, I came to the end of my speech, my talk, and let us stay connected. Let us not anyone divide us, because we can only do this together.